Okay, December 8th, 2025, I'm opening the Granby Planning Board meeting, and first on our agenda, minutes from October 28th and November 24th. Do we have those?
Yep.
Yeah. This one's true.
Why don't we table these for now, because
Okay.
we can't vote on them
Okay.
at this point, because you were at one and
Right.
you were at the other. So
Okay. Sounds good.
let's wait till
Yeah, I was noticing that too.
Okay.
another member comes in.
Yep.
Can I have another copy of that, Jen? Thank you. Thank you.
Correspondence, there's nothing, you don't have anything, do you, Ken? Okay, I've got the decision here for 185 West State Street that I'm going to sign on behalf of the board.
Oh, sure.
Hello.
It's my hands. Oh my God. There's always a cookie.
Moves back to the minutes.
Okay.
Oh.
I reviewed them.
Oh, okay.
Chris, we're just reviewing these two minutes.
So let's go with the October 28th first.
Okay.
Why would I never said that makes sense? Look at it.
Well, then the 28th, you were here.
Oh.
Yeah, the 28th, you were here. I wasn't
Oh,
here
yeah,
on the
the
28th.
So I'll entertain a motion for the October 28th.
I can't remember when I was in. Oh, yeah. I'll make a motion to accept these minutes.
We have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Right?
Aye.
And I'll make a motion to approve the Monday, November 24th, 2025 meeting minutes.
We have a second? You know, Chris was out too,
Yeah, it was,
Okay, so we have to table.
at the table.
Well, the table this one.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. New business. Planning Board will review the petition of Sarah and Ryan Voiland, Red Fire Farm, owner and applicant, who seek site plan approval for the construction of a farm market. The proposal is submitted under the Section 6.3 site plan approval and the applicable provisions of Section 3 use regulations, Section 3.2.2 farm business commercial greenhouse of the Granby zoning bylaws. The project is located at 34 Carver Street, identified as Assessor's Map 6-C-4 in the residential single-family units zoning district. Okay. We've all had a chance to review
Yes.
the plans.
Yep.
This is not a hearing, but I will take any comments from the public. Just raise your hand.
Paper, please, paper signing. Here.
I don't need the paper.
You don't want to see who's going to order when they came?
No.
So you've done.
Is this a done deal?
Pardon me?
Red Fire Farm, a done deal?
As far as,
Getting approved, because it's almost built,
correct.
so I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, I can't answer that either. We weren't presented with the site plan approval until after the fact. So pardon me?
How can they build it? The town didn't approve it.
So the town did approve it. The building inspector the current building inspector gave him permission to get started. And then we never received any information on it until our last meeting.
Yep.
I live at 47 Carver Street, and
Who are you, by the way?
Brian Aldrich. I live at 47 Carver Street. And I'm worried about traffic and the mess they're gonna make.
Okay. Does anybody else have any comment?
Well, I'd like to hear from Sarah and Ryan.
Yeah.
They're on your list.
Yeah, we will.
Sure.
Name and address?
Here, hi, from Ferry Hill Road. How is it that certain departments can know that there's a building going up and know of its plans at a previous date, and yet this board doesn't? I'm used to, when I'm applying to a company, a corporation, a city, or anything, if I'm in touch with any wing of that city and making formal applications on anything, I would assume that organization knows about it. So I think it's awfully strange that you say you've never heard of this.
Well, first of all, if you're questioning us on whether we have or we haven't, I take offense to that.
Why?
Because we didn't. We didn't know anything about it until it was presented to us.
Well, you shouldn't take offense that maybe you didn't hear about it, that's all.
Well,
But it's
nonetheless,
strange.
nonetheless, this took
In the
place.
city, people don't hear about what
Okay.
the left hand is.
I heard all that the first time. The previous building inspector approved the building permit. A second building inspector came in after the fact, and that's how we got notified.
So,
And it wasn't an official, and it was not an official notification until we sat here as a board at our last meeting, 2 weeks,
so
3
it
weeks
had
ago.
been previously approved by a previous building inspector of this town.
Yep, yes, it was.
It was
And they-
approved as a, my
No,
understanding is that
the questions have to come to the board, or any conversation has to be addressed to the board. I don't want this getting out of hand.
Joan Grenier, 25 High Street. I am so excited that Ryan and Sarah have decided to continue farming in Granby after what they've been through, a flood, a drought, and a fire. my business was burned down twice in the 80s, and I know how hard it is to rebuild. I know the costs keep going up and up. We're in Granby, we stayed in Granby because of Red Fire Farm, because of the healthy organic food, because it's a farming community. So the fact that, you know, they have grown organic farm, they're known throughout the state as top organic farmers. And we are lucky in Granby to have them. And we feel, John and I feel that we're lucky because we both were very busy at one stage in our lives where we weren't cooking very much. And we got the share, and we would come home and say, "What's this?" Because we didn't know what kale was, and we didn't know what kohlrabi was. And we have learned to cook. Sarah always provides lots of great recipes, and it's really made a difference in our lives. And I think we're just so lucky to have them. So I hope that we can just, you know, I understand one building inspector and another building inspector weren't kind of communicating or something, but can we move this forward so that we can have this farm store open for next season?
Sure. Way in the back.
Okay, I understand there's supposed to be only 20, 25 cars parked over there.
Name and address, please.
Mary Aldrich, 47 Cotton. Last meeting, we were told 20, 25 cars parked in that area and only that area. They're gonna come down the sides of the streetcar in Chicopee and have them sticking all out all over the place. Are they gonna have 50 cars over here so that we can't get in and out of our driveway? Not only that, I live there. I live right next door to them. I don't have a problem with farmers. My grandparents were on Lion Street, right around the corner from me. My other uncle was there. I grew up there playing. Okay, I have nothing against them. But these people are slobs. I'm sorry. But
Well, let's watch the rhetoric, because I'm not going to stand for that in this meeting.
It's true, but they got a mess.
Susan Knightley, 32 Fair Hill Road. My husband and I moved here also in large part because of Red Fire Farm. I'm a retired Whole Food chef from New York City. I grew up in South Hadley and had Hort's Farm family in Granby. And when we saw the farm was here, when friends told us they were here and we started visiting it, we decided to retire here. We have a lovely expensive home, we pay a lot of taxes, and I am so thrilled that we have something as stellar, as amazing as a Red Fire Farm in Granby. I just want to give you a couple of stats here. The farm reaches 7,000 people every week through CSA Farm Shares. We get fresh vegetables, organically grown, all year long from them. Their farm shares go out to 1,200 households in the town of Granby, Montague, Springfield, Northampton, Amherst, Boston, Jamaica Plains, Cambridge, downtown Boston, Brighton, Watertown, and Newton. They teach people how to eat. If you go online, the newsletter, you can always see that they have cooking classes always, so they're helping teach us to eat better and more healthy. They currently serve farmers markets in Springfield, Northampton, Wayland, and Amherst with weekly fresh produce from the main outdoor season. And then they go to Somerville, Wayland, Springfield, and Northampton in the winter, providing year-round access to healthy foods. In addition, low-income access to healthy foods. Through healthy incentives, the HIP program and the SNAP program, the farm serves low-income residents with fresh food via farmers markets, CSA, and a farm store. Very few farmers can make it anymore, as you know. They're folding their doors, and they need a store or a shop where people can come and pick things up. That's how they're going to survive. So they, let's see, at other market locations, including Granby Farm Store, people do use their SNAP. 20 to 35% of their total sales come from SNAP. That's incredible for a farmer to be able to say that. Their sales represent probably about $60,000 a year come from SNAP alone. I think that's amazing. Red Fire Farm also partners with low-income, low-cost shares, and they can also buy, what are called EBT eligible household shares. So that's a wonderful thing too. They also donate food, about 50,000 pounds of fresh food to our food pantries. Think about it. In June 1st, grants were stopped for the large food pantry in Chicopee. They lost $144,000 worth of food purchasing power from June 1st until August 1st. That's what the administration did. They just stopped all of these grants going to farms and to food pantries. So where were they getting their food? You know, ecological management, if anybody's worried about it being clean and safe, I'm at the farm constantly. I have never seen food more than 10 cars, except for the wonderful tomato festival, which we all love. It brings people from all over the valley, just like the garlic festival someplace. We have a festival here. We haven't been able to have it because the barn burnt down. They haven't been able to produce that for 2 years. This year in New England, they won first prize and second prize for the best tomatoes in the state. I mean, it's such an extraordinary place. But let me tell you a little bit more about the ecological management. These people cut our carbon footprint. They help clean our water by the way that they farm. Ecological management and land preservation. Let me just read something that someone wrote about them. With 200 acres in rotation, they steward with certified organic management and resting land with carbon collecting cover crops between seasons. Their farm has brought over 118 acres of land into permanent protection. Are we really going to fight this? From development and more to come. The farm maintains a very diverse crop mix and creates habitat for wildlife. As an example, a 2-year study of birds and local farms showed how the farm sustains an especially wide mix of birds, including species facing precipitous decline in the Northeast. With an overall count of 70 different species and an astounding 528 individual birds observed, Red Fire Farm was one of the most productive and remarkable study sites that this writer, has ever visited over the course of field seasons. Both Montague and Granby locations hold surprising high diversity of abundance of birds nowhere else, such as the song sparrow, the orchard oriole, the cliff swallow, and the Louisiana water thrush. That was by Elizabeth Brodsky from the UMass Department of Environmental Conservation. I just think we have an incredible opportunity to support this farm, and I certainly hope that our planning board will clear the way for them to continue the kind of work that they're doing. Thank you.
Anybody else wants to speak? I like outside in. Okay, so let me just clarify before I take any more comments. Let me just clarify. We're not here tonight to determine whether or not the farm's going to be allowed. The farm is going to be allowed. It was allowed by the building inspector, code enforcement. We're here for strictly a site plan approval. We're not here to determine whether or not the farm is going to be allowed. At our last, just to recap a little bit, at our last meeting, the board took, reviewed the plans, and it was just presented to us. So we've had a couple of weeks to digest what was provided to us by the owner's rep. One of the things that the board had issue with was one of the ground-mounted signs. And ground-mounted sign on the westerly side, I guess, would it be? Yeah, yes. So again, we haven't discussed that portion of it yet. And have we had any feedback from the police chief?
I have a couple of comment letters here.
Okay, all right, so let me finish some of the public, and then we'll recap on some of the other information. But this is strictly a site plan. It's already been approved. It's not, it was handed off to us after the fact by the code enforcement officer who said that they have a right to do this. Okay, so with that being said, I'm still open for, we're still open for comment.
I thank you, Chamber, for that explanation. My name is Trevor Augustino, 38 Taylor Street in Granby. I'm a retired state fire warden from Camden County. And I'd just like to speak on the Boylan's behalf, whom I don't know, but I've been admirers of their farm and I've seen the work they do there. And my capacity as a state fire warden, I traveled all over this country to go and deal with communities that were struck by wildfire, whether it burnt down, California, Alaska, Wyoming, etc. And when people had fires, the communities came together to support them. And I think this is a time when we need to come together and support a local family farm. As Mrs. Knightley had spoken, so many farms, small family farms, are being destroyed right now because of the tariffs they're dealing with, all the challenges, the costs, and these people are rising like phoenixes from the flame. And that they've come a far way, and I applaud them, and I want to just tell them that this community is here to support them. And I hope that we can all come together and support this effort. It's a small business. I can see small business people going to the farm, Red Fire Farm, then traveling down to the wine house, going to the Granby Legion, going to our local community. We need to build business. That's one thing the Finance Committee has said. Let's support this family, and I applaud you guys, and we're here for you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Margaret Christie. I'm the Special Projects Director at a nonprofit here in the Valley called Community Involved in Sustaining Agriculture, and you have really just spoken to the name of my organization. We work to strengthen farms all up and down the Connecticut River Valley of Massachusetts, and to help communities come together to support farms, just as you said, because farms grow food for us. We obviously need that. You spoke so eloquently to the quality of the food that Ryan and Sarah grow. But at the same time, farms can't survive without the support of communities. So I think what you all are doing here is really important in coming together and expressing that support for a farm. And you've described, and other people have described, the real strengths of Red Fire Farm, so I don't want to belabor that, except to say this is a gem of a farm that you all are lucky enough to have here in Granby, and they are just extremely dedicated to growing a wide variety of products so that you can really, you'll be able to go into the farm store and really do a lot of your shopping because they grow a lot of fruits and vegetables. They grow them really well, as has already been said, and they're really committed to food feeding their whole community. And that is enormously important. As we know, we saw in this fall the threats to food security. We know how many people are really struggling to pay their bills, and figuring out ways to make really healthy, fresh, local, organic produce available to everybody is no tall order, and also, takes, or is a tall order, and takes community support. I also want to speak to the role of the building inspector and the decision the building inspector made, because Massachusetts does have a law that limits the ability of towns to restrict agricultural activities, including the sale of agricultural produce. And Granby has a right to farm by law, and so those things are really important. You need to obey the law, I think, in making decisions about how much you can restrict agricultural activities, because the law is very clear on that in Massachusetts. I'm sure you all, as planning board members, are very familiar with that, because that's part of your role, but other people might not know about that. So that's, I think, important in making clear what you can and cannot do. So I mostly want to say, you're really lucky to have Red Fire Farm here, and enjoy your vegetables.
Can I just add something to this?
Let me hear from somebody else.
Marie Babbitt, New Willow Road, Granby. I'm wondering, when I first moved to Granby, I used to get all my food from Red Fire Farm. It seems to me a barn burned down, and the barn is being built, gonna have a store. I'm not sure that there's a big difference between what was there and what is going to, or being built or has been built. My question is, you indicated that there was an issue, you had a concern about the sign. I didn't see the plans, that's not my purview. Is there a workable solution for the concern that you have about the sign, and is that the only thing that's holding up the approval process?
No. That's not holding it up, and we haven't discussed any type of restrictions, if any, on that portion of the site plan.
I just want to address a concern that a neighbor had, because I think we're all really cognizant of how messy things were after the fire. And I just got to tell you that I cannot tell you how hard it is to watch Ryan's dad move these small buildings and watch Ryan and all the farm staff out there trying every day to display things as beautifully as possible, to make the place look as nice as possible. And I understand somebody's frustration when you live by a fire. It's devastating. We own a rental property in Springfield, and the house next door burnt down. We were so sad for our tenants who were there, and they complained how awful it was for a while, and we didn't have patience. We kind of have to hang in with people when they have fires. And I just want to, I don't know if they're still here, but just say that, you know, they work incredibly hard. I see it all the time. You can't be at the farm and not see how difficult it is, what a struggle it is to get every day, get that food out there looking beautiful and delivering it to people. I just so admire their efforts, and I think that everybody really wants it to work in a clean and safe way. And I'm sure that Sarah and Ryan have really heard this right now too, in terms of cars. The only time I've seen cars on the road is when we have a farm share pickup and it's a busy day. There might be one or two cars that can't make it into the old lot. Doesn't sound like it's going to be a problem in the new lot. And I just hope that when you consider the sign issue, that it is visible for people driving by so that they will know that this is a place where they can stop and shop. Not that it'll be dangerous, but that it'll be, that you work with them on visibility with their architect and you know, with them. Thank you.
Okay. Would you like to present?
Yes, and I guess Sarah would like to speak first, and
Okay, sure.
I'm gonna sort of try to connect with what this motion. I actually just realized I forgot the site plan. Do you have the drawing?
I have,
Yeah. Thank you. Would it feel okay if I cleaned up? I borrow it? Yep. If you want to move that one in. Should they sit in here?
Why don't you, if you don't mind? It'll be easier for the folks at home to hear you.
Okay. Well, I did want to start with thank you for helping us get to this point. Maybe you guys didn't have as much of a hand in it before, but it has been a lot of different steps to review all of the things for the town and to make the building possible at all. And I worked some in town government as a volunteer in my hometown, and I understand how much effort people put in, and I really appreciate it. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we are very glad to be at this point in the building process where there's actually something coming back to life after the fire, and all of the efforts that our community has put together to recover at this point. It's very heartening. And we're hoping to be able to explain the project today with Ray, our architect, to answer questions if people have them and address any concerns from our neighbors. And we're happy to meet with folks also outside of this meeting for our neighbors who have any concerns or questions, to talk about them, and if there's things that we can help with, glad to help. So yeah, in Granby, Susan talked a little bit about what we do, but we're growing overall like 200 acres. We do 100 acres of crops each year and rest a lot of the land. And we feed estimated about 7,000 people per week with fresh produce. And in Granby, We have about 300 households that come every week and get fresh food. So, yeah, yes.
Mic turned on? Or-
I don't know.
It's for this.
Oh, it's just.
Okay. I'll do my best to talk louder. Okay. So it has been a long road for us and a lot of extra work on top of farming to pull this whole plan together, and so much effort from Ray and our other helpers. And essentially we are just trying to replace what we lost in the fire, which is the place where we sell our produce, where we welcome families to come out for activities on the farm, for pick your own in the fields, and to host our community supported agricultural pickups. And all of that is very vital to the viability of our farm. We've seen, much less sales since the fire at the farm store, and we really hope that the new building will bring us to, a better place financially too. And that will help us to be able to continue feeding people, the many people that we feed throughout the whole state. So we appreciate your review and are happy to answer questions and help as we can.
Thank you.
Hello again. Hi. Thank you for the opportunity to let us present this project and have an open discussion about the approval issues. So just to give a little bit of more background to this project, you probably read in the newspaper how the loss of the original barn was an over $1 million loss for Red Fire Farm. And part of what got the project maybe going a little further ahead of people than they expected was that they were able to get an mass agricultural grant, but it was time delimited. And so we talked with the town, we talked with the building inspector at the time, and we realized that the approval process for the market would probably take longer than the funding would be available. So we are under the danger of having a good substantial portion of the budget, the funding pulled if we didn't get the project going. So just to explain, what we did was the farmers are allowed to propose buildings, barn structures by right. That portion does not necessarily need to go through an approval process. So we applied for what's basically a shell permit to let them begin putting up the structure itself, with the understanding that then we would go through the approval process for a farm business market, which then would trigger things like the Conservation Commission review, the Board of Health review, and the Planning Board review. So I apologize for our lateness in getting to the Planning Board review. We have emailed you since July, but I think most of our correspondence I was in regular contact with Commissioner Quinlan to understand what issues we should bring before you. So there has been engagement in the process. I don't want to sound like we never reached out. And it's actually not quite clear from the zoning bylaw. A farm business is allowed by right in the residential zone and is not required to do a special permit, but we recognize that there's still a site plan review process, especially for the parking and the signage. And we are under the understanding that we needed, in advance of coming to the planning board, the reviews from the Conservation Commission, the review from the Board of Health for the septic system. We actually had to go to DEP because in order to have a market building that can prepare some of the foods. We had to go to a public water system, so we had to go to DEP for approval for that. And then also to the Massachusetts Department of Agriculture for permission for the septic. So there are many steps involved, and it actually has taken about 8 months to get to this point. So, but we didn't want to come prematurely before the board because we were under the understanding that we're supposed to get all these approvals before then. So, so the project was permitted to go forward in February, and believe me, we did not expect to be here in December. This is finally reaching this stage. So, so that kind of explains. I hope that gives some explanation for the timeline. And also, I guess I just wanted to respond a little bit to the comment about the farm maybe not having some attractive aspects or whatever. I mean, Right to Farm does outline the fact that farms aren't necessarily just, you know, pretty fields that you just can look at, but that they're active places of work, and some of that work is not going to be the most aesthetic or least smelly or whatever. I mean, that's a farm is a farm. And also that, you know, in terms of the life of a farm business, as some people have pointed out already, the ability to sell and be a market and have cars coming in and out to get your stuff. You know, we all have cars, so we know that if we want to go someplace, the parking lot is going to fill up. So these are all aspects that are really vital to a farm business. And indeed, you know, I went through some steps with Commissioner Quinlan to assure him that this is indeed a farm business, and it is. So it does have that definition under the zoning bylaw. So, so just to get to the site plan, so the aspects, so just to explain a little bit to the public, because Carter Street is running along here, and many of you are neighbors, so you already know that the existing old farmhouse, which is there, there's a 2 acres of exclusion and then about the 44-acre APR. It's all kind of all over this area. So we're bringing in a new driveway that's quite close to the old one. The old one is actually right here with two outlets. We're actually closing one just to make one outlet. And then this is brought in here as a 25-car parking lot, which actually is kind of shielded by the house and a lot of vegetation from view to the street. Obviously, we'll see some cars here because actually Buzz Business wants to show some cars being here. And then this is the new farm structure that's under construction. Over here is where the deliveries would go back behind. So this is almost completely out of view from the road for their trucks to move in. Trash and recycling would be kept to that side of the building. There'll be out here a very low mound, it's almost level with the street when it's done, of the septic field, so that's what enables them to prepare food and expand on their ability to market their product. There's a well over here, which is just on the edge of the wetlands, and is allowed as a zone 1 clearance for a public water supply. That took about 3 months to get approved. We have the stone rainwater gardens around the edge to make sure that the water filtration is the water's clear coming off the garage. So this also in the report, I don't have the poster for it, worked with the fire chief for the turning radiuses for fire trucks. That's been cleared, and also we did a traffic study. So the peak traffic load is considered 40 cars on a weekend day, which is almost a negligible kind of impact, even if you thought about doubling that. I mean, you probably, everyone who lives here knows how well trafficked this road is. So it's really easily within the kind of bounds of like activity that you already see on the road. And certainly lucky that the kind of country road is actually quite active
in this area, so the potential customers is great. So in terms of the signage, so this is another aspect that the zoning bylaw outlines fairly clearly, although I think for buildings that are commercial in a rural area, I think you have some discretion about what you can allow. They would like to do a sign that was very much like what they had on their old barn, which is a kind of cutout logo in black that will be maybe raised, standing off about 1.5 inches from the building to reflect that historic marker for them. And then at the road, a kind of a sign with their, the logo that they use for most of their commercial activity, this Red Fire Farm sign. That itself is about 10 square feet, and then they'd like the ability to add the announcement that corn is available or flowers and what have you. So that's kind of the sign that we'd like to see sitting here, 10 feet back from the property line. Good visibility without obstruction. And then we originally thought that maybe we could put a sign on the old house, but maybe that was drawing a little bit too much attention. We'd like to propose instead, which I emailed you this morning, something about an 8-foot tall sign. This is about 24 square feet. That we'd like to place maybe somewhere towards the west view. So as most of you know, on Carver, you sort of go down a fairly straight run for quite a while, and then suddenly that starts to curve. And so, without calling too much attention to itself, we thought it'd be nice to be able to at least see that at the end of the road. Very much not only for advertisement, but certainly for safety, because then I think as people turn, if they only saw that sign at the first instant, they might miss that turn. So that would give people a little bit more preparation for the presence of the store. Over on this side, you have that logo from the gable, so we hope that they'll see that, and they say, what is that? And then they'll see the signs. That's where we are. Any questions?
I like that sign placement much better.
Yes.
Any questions from the board?
Lighting on the sign?
Lighting on the sign. So we'd like to put a little bit of in-ground lighting towards that roadway fixture.
Yep.
Whether you allow us to do that, I don't know. They're mostly operational during daylight hours, daylight hours in the winter. So, maybe you can provide us some guidance on that. We're not quite sure what we'd be allowed to do with that.
And then lighting in the parking lot.
In the parking lot. So again, the same thing. They'll have some building lights to light. We're trying to keep it a fairly low level of light. If there's concerns that we should have more light, we can certainly entertain that. But generally, if it's felt that maybe the building, there didn't seem to be any particular stipulation for parking and lighting in this area. I'm not sure if it's not to be a plus or minus in terms of building.
And then how many cars, the previous business, how many cars did that hold?
Which I don't know if we had ever really on that, but this is similar.
It's about the same, I think, but.
Yeah. Our engineer pulled the data from sort of like, okay, this percentage is a greenhouse business, this percentage is kind of a market business, and what are the kind of typical standards? It's kind of corresponding.
Okay, thank you. Ken, you have some comments from some departments?
Yes, 3 comments here. One from the Massachusetts Farm Bureau Federation. This was to the Grammy Planning Board. Dear members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to provide written comments regarding Red Fire Farm's request to operate a farm store at 34 Carver Street. Red Fire Farm is one of the region's most established agricultural businesses with a long record of responsible land stewardship, and reliable service to the local community. The proposed use of the new barn as a farm store is entirely consistent with normal agricultural commerce in Massachusetts. On-farm retail sales are a core component of how commercial farms maintain economic stability and meet consumer demand for local food. The elements contained in the application, customer access, seasonal traffic patterns, product flow, signage, and parking, are customary for farm stores across the state. Approving this use will align the building with its intended purpose and provide clarity for both the town and farm going into the next growing season. Supporting active farmland is in the town's long-term interest. Farm stores help keep agricultural land in production, support local employment, and give residents dependable access to fresh Massachusetts-grown food. Allowing this use helps preserve the agricultural character of Granby while strengthening one of its significant local businesses. For these reasons, I respectfully encourage the board to approve Red Fire Farms application. Thank you for your consideration. Sincerely, Karen Schwalbe, Executive Director of Massachusetts Farm Foundation. That's one letter. This one is from the Town of Granby Highway Department.
Could you speak up a little?
Sure. This one is from the Town of Granby Highway Department. As requested, the Highway Department has reviewed the plans for the above project. The results of this review and any comments are listed below. The comments. Potential areas of concern that should be addressed by the applicant, traffic. Comments. New driveway enters on a horizontal curve. Adequate sight lines must be maintained for traffic safety. No roadside signs, temporary banners, or vegetation should be placed along the road in areas that could adversely impact sight distances for vehicles entering and exiting the driveway. That's reviewed by David DeRozier, Highway Super. And the third letter is from the Granby Police Department. Upon review of the plan submitted by Red Fire Farm, I had a couple of concerns. First is traffic. That curve on Carver Street has been the site of many bad accidents over the years. My concerns are the number of vehicles coming in and out of the property dependent on the time of day and frequency of the vehicles coming and going. Is it possible to have the entrance and exit on Carver Street on the straightaway as it heads towards Lion Street? I would also request that the driveway has the most visibility available, meaning no signs or vegetations near the driveway entrance. Secondly, I have a concern with one entry and exit if there is an emergency on the property and responded need to get to areas on the property, especially the second parking area. I believe there should be a second entrance cut into the property in the event of an emergency. That way responders can access that area quickly. Customers should not be able to use both driveways to access the store because this will cause more traffic issues. How wide is the driveway going into the parking areas? Can this handle traffic going in two directions? Kevin O'Grady, Chief of Police.
So again, this has all been designed and built prior to us being able to review the plans ahead of time. And had that been done, you know, some of these concerns probably could have been much easily addressed then prior to it, but we can't go back, it's there. The orientation of the building's already in place, the entrance is in place, it's too late for us to go back, and I understand the reasons why. You sped up the process with the code enforcement for funding and so on and so forth. As far as the two letters from both DPW and the police chief, I share their concerns to make sure that the ground-mounted sign that we requested, not on the building, that everything sits back appropriately. So when you're pulling in or out, it's not blocking. Giving this a quick look, I'm not an engineer, but if it was all possible to address the chief's concerns about one entrance in and out, or one curb cut in and out with two entrances, or an entrance and an exit. Would it be possible that on the back parking lot, that
Like right here.
So we could explore through.
Yeah.
Yeah, there, I mean,
With that,
Like right here, I guess, so that's one possible solution. I just wanted to address the fact that we did have a SWEPT analysis, so we know that a fire truck that's 38 feet long would come in, turn around, and get back out. So it would sort of do this, do that, and of course, the requirements of the fire trucks is that it cannot be in the lane of, it can't go over any parking spaces or anything like that. So that's clear. I think that would be the same for an emergency, any kind of emergency vehicle. The roadway is designed to the requirement of 2-lane traffic, so it's not too narrow. It meets all the standards that are required for traffic in 2 directions. So in that sense, I hope that responds to some of his concerns. Maybe you could speak with the fire chief who, I went through over this in detail. It's possible we have an outlet here, but I think we felt that maybe it might actually create more confusion than less to have a second entrance where, so, I mean, I think in terms of visibility, as you come down here, again, you see that first sign, there's a kind of clear shot to then that sign without obstructing the driveway, which really begins here. It's far back enough. It's back from the property, it's required to be back 10 feet from the property line, which means it's almost about 20 feet back from the actual road itself. And coming this way, it's actually because of the curve of the road, it's actually pretty visible.
Ray, what if there was like hard pathing? I know asphalt in a driveway can be pretty expensive, but what about extending with hard path just in case of emergency? I know other farms have done that.
Over here?
No, on the other side, to create a secondary exit. I mean, it wouldn't have to be a named secondary exit for the business, but just for in case of emergency. Like I said, I know.
the existing exit, the historical driveway is over there.
Yeah.
It already exists.
Okay.
So, I mean, the problem is if it is left open like that, it will confuse customers. Somehow we have to make it, like, it can still be there, maybe we can have a gate, I don't know. But we don't want, I don't think we want customers being confused about where to enter and exit. And if we just leave it wide open, and that's a more difficult, because it's an acute angle to the road, so visibility coming out of that driveway isn't super easy. I know, because I drive the tractor there all the time. But where we've chosen to put the new exit is a complete right angle in both directions, and the visibility should be very good. You know, you can see the traffic in both directions there, which is, in my opinion, it's really the safest place in the whole stretch that it could be located.
We could maybe meet with the police chief and sort of walk the site.
Well, you can do that if you'd like. I don't know if what I suggested or what we just discussed is better or worse. It was just, to me, it looked like it was an easy way of cutting in a separate driveway or entrance, but I'm not saying it's better or worse. I just.
Yeah, we'll think about it.
So you've got 25 parking places here. Does that include employee parking, or are you going to park them off in the back fields or somewhere on the other side?
Well, it's the number is based on the requirements to meet parking that include employees, so
Okay.
it's based on.
Okay.
I would say if we are busy, we do have options where we could park employees further back on this field space, essentially.
So I'm not going to speak for the board, but my guess is we're going to say that there can't be any on-street parking, especially on that curve. So if it gets busy or whatever, you're going to have like events. You're going to have some. I think you guys do that anyway, don't you? When you have your events, you park them elsewhere and you bring them in.
Yeah, I think if we were gonna, I don't know if we're ever gonna do events of the scale that we once did with the one-day tomato festival, but if we do events that are gonna overflow the parking lot, our plan would be to build a a section into our rotation where we grow the crops. It would be in sod, grass, so that we could have parking, overflow parking in that section. We'd probably rotate that around, different land over time, but it would be built into our field space to accommodate that.
Okay. Ken, you had a comment about the sign?
Yeah, so, I think, as the board knows, and I think you mentioned it, the sign bylaw is quite interesting. I think that's one of the reasons why the town is going to update zoning bylaw. Where this particular business is located, which isn't a residential single-unit zone, it does not speak to the type of building. However, it states that in that specific zone, all residential zones, one non-illuminated residential nameplate sign situated within the property line that seems to apply to a residential type use. So that's not applicable, even though it states that there's only one is allowed and not exceeding more than 1 square foot area. And then one non-flashing, non-illuminated temporary sign related to the lease or sale of the same lot. So that is not applicable. One non-flashing, non-illuminated wall or freestanding sign identifying a school, church, public park, or other such permitted use located no less than 10 feet from any street or property line and not exceeding 10 square feet in area on any one side. That might be applicable based on it is a permitted use within this zone. So 10 feet, it's not necessarily what's being presented in the plan. And then no freestanding sign shall be erected closer than 10 feet to any front or side lot, which is pretty typical with regards to that. So that's one kind of thing to consider with regards to these particular signs. The presentation of 2 signs within the same lot, that's also not typically permitted. There is a special permit process by which the planning board can issue a special permit to allow for that. When there is, what is that? That's under.
Just me interrupt you for a minute. Does pre-existing non-conforming play into this at all? Seeing they had the signages there before,
Same size.
probably larger.
Okay.
But we could issue, I mean, I think it's, we can discuss, I guess, making a special permit if we, right?
Well, this is not stuff, that would need to be separate.
Separate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know as if we want to do that.
Yeah, this is, so this here, this is a 10 square foot area.
Yeah.
It's not huge either, because there may be temporary sites, and I think they're allowed to do the corners and plans with a separate piece of signage. That's my understanding. This one is about 25 square feet, which is what the commercial, I guess, is allowed in commercial zones, so we thought, like, we weren't sure quite what applies here, so we'll rely on you to make a determination, but we do feel like safety, some signage needs to be on that side.
So again, I'm not a traffic engineer, but I think the signage coming from both directions, I think having some signage, they actually make people aware of what's there. And it's probably going to slow traffic down. My guess is with the activity there, people are going to slow down around that corner.
I'm also okay if they wanted, I mean, it's up to you, I mean, we can discuss it, but I'm also okay if they wanted to illuminate the sign.
Well, so there's a difference between illumination and then a lit sign.
Right.
So ground lit signs.
Ground lit sign.
Ground lit signs are allowed.
Yeah.
Illuminated signs like a fluorescent sign and stuff like that.
Anyway.
It's just one of the crazy things that's in our bylaws right now that we're looking at.
I did forget to point out, there's a couple signage lights on the gable and logo.
Yep, see 'em.
Small, low jingles.
Okay, any other comment from the
Yeah, I do.
public?
You mind?
Not at all, so I'm asking.
Gary McNerney. I'm 39 Carver, probably, if not the most impacted neighbor, one of the most impacted, literally across the street. I don't have an issue with being there. I do care what Chief O'Grady said. That I've been there 28-ish years, multiple accidents, called 911 way more than I really want. Please address the traffic situation. See, nobody goes 30 miles an hour on that curve. Nobody. So it'll be.
I mean, I think that we would appreciate it if any measures can be taken to help calm the traffic that is in that area. I mean, I think the split where Chicopee and Carver Street, Carver splits off and becomes Chicopee Street is probably as big or, a bigger traffic concern in that curve than our driveway is going to be, because that, again, you have a really funny angle of that road going into the curve.
Yeah, if you're coming off Carver, it's hard to see.
Trying to get on Chicopee, it's really hard to see. And we struggle with this all the time with our tractors and farm vehicles. You have to pull way out in the road to see.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, and so, if we want to, if the town wants to help address, like maybe the way that intersection should be.
The big yellow line.
Yeah.
Needs to be brighter. It was perfect, because we used to have a ton of accidents, so this is for the chief or whoever can get that impacted. The big yellow lines nearly eliminated accidents for, I'm not kind of something. Nearly eliminated accidents for quite some time.
It's
dull, and so just more upkeep in that.
We generally call it the mega street.
You know where I live, right?
I think so.
Way to your farm. Secondly, I don't know if I'm supposed to address the board, but the existing house, I don't know why. Is there anything happening with the existing house that's there? Is that a part of the plan?
Yeah, well, so we struggled on whether to keep the house or demolish the house, and decided eventually to keep the house because it's structurally sound, even though it needs a lot of work to be revised, or, to become a livable structure once again. When we purchased the property, it was in really bad shape. So our intention over time is to fix it up, paint it, make it look better. The whole property was in pretty bad shape when we got it, and we have very limited financial resources, so how quickly we can get to some of these projects, I'm not sure.
Just don't want it falling apart on its own.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't either, but if I can, as soon as we can figure out how to address it, we hope to make that, a useful structure once again.
Alright.
John Weissman, 25 High. Just a question, I don't know if anyone knows the answer yet, but it might be worth looking into. Does the existence at a dangerous on a dangerous street like that, the existence of a popular destination store actually mitigate lower speed and calm the traffic?
Do we know that?
No, I don't know.
I don't think we know that.
No.
But
It might be.
historically, I've seen it where it's happened.
This might be a calming effect, though the problem is at the intersection, but this might be a calming effect in and of itself.
I would agree with you. Anybody else?
Yeah, well, in terms of the mega stripe, I mean, if it's gonna be redone, if we could actually build a break in the mega stripe that helps indicate to the traffic where the turn is into our parking area, I think that would help people understand that there's a turn there. So I don't know who to talk to about that, but if,
It's not us.
Yeah.
But we can bring it to somebody's attention, for sure.
Did you analyze doing bollards at all, like on that corner? Like as far as anything to prevent vehicles from driving straight into the property at night, or anything to keep cars from not parking on the street?
Has there ever been an incident of someone when you went through your rules?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, there's a town ordinance about on-street parking, and you can park on the side of the street, but you have to be off the road.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, nobody, as far as I know, has run into the house or almost run into the house in the time that I've owned it or been leasing that property. But it does seem like a potential risk for that property, so, you know, I think we may want to situate some boulders as part of the landscaping, is kind of would be my thinking, yeah.
Can I ask a question? What's the process at this point? We all have to talk very soon. And
Correct.
how long does that take?
It could take a couple minutes, or we could decide to deliberate and get some more feedback from the police chief and the DPW. It's up to the board.
And also, I wonder if you could introduce yourself.
Sure. I'm the chair, Jim Tromke.
I'm the secretary, Nita Abbott.
You're what?
Nita Abbott. I'm just a member of the board.
Okay.
Melissa St. Germain, Martel, Vice Chair.
I'm the treasurer. Name's Chris Jarrett.
Okay, great, thank you. Oh, yeah, who are you?
My name is Ken Camilla. I am with the planning board's consultant. I'm with the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. I've been with the board now for about 6 years.
Okay.
Granby pays dues for that.
I already spoke, I just had one comment regarding that second access, would like a bollard gate type of situation satisfied? Because I know working with the state, you know, we had keys to get in other access when it's needed, and that may mitigate where gate's not open for traffic coming on in. But, you know, the police or fire can have an active camera key and go on in, or these folks at the farm can do it. I'm just thinking.
Ken, you want to read his comments again, the chief's comments again?
Sure.
Excuse me.
Um,
6:45.
Upon review of the plan submitted by Red Fire Farms versus traffic, the curb on Carver Street has been the site of many bad accidents over the years, and I'm concerned of the number of vehicles coming in and out of the property, dependent on the time of day and frequency of vehicles coming and going. Is it possible to have the entrance and exit on Carver Street on the straightaway as it heads towards Lion Street? I would also request that the driveway have the most visibility available, meaning no signs or vegetation near the driveway entrance. Secondly, I have a concern with one entry and exit if there is an emergency on the property and responders need to get to the areas on the property, especially the second parking area. I believe there should be a second entrance cut into the property in the event of an emergency. That way responders can access that area quickly. Customers should not be able to use both driveways to access the store because this will cause more traffic issues. How wide is the driveway going into the parking areas? Can this handle traffic going in two directions?
Okay, so to address the entrance closer to the Lion Street side of the building there, we can't because of the septic system leach field is there. And more than likely, there'll probably be some sort of a raised system, so we wouldn't be able to do that.
I also think that would probably block your view heading down Carver Street from that way.
Yeah, well, and also it's our field, so we wouldn't want to lose it. You know, we need that growing space, and even if we wanted to give up that growing space, we would have to petition the APR program for permission to make it into a parking lot, which they may or may not grant for this purpose, but I wouldn't want to ask them because we need that acreage for growing things.
Okay, you have to
I
leave.
have to leave at 6:45.
And we're at what?
6:42.
6:42. So, any more comments from the public before we deliberate here? Okay, thank you. What's everybody's thought? my take on it is, again, the chief, the police chief has some concerns, but, you know, the old saying, the horse is out of the barn. It's already designed, it's built. The front entrance is here, septic system design's over there. I don't know as if there's anything that can be, I mean, my comment about extending the driveway there, I don't know if that'll make it, again, more problematic. And to put a gate there doesn't really address if they need to get in an emergency.
Right.
And if they did, my guess is this is all,
Yeah.
flat land. They could drive right over it anyway.
Unless you keep it an unlocked gate.
You could do it bigger than that, just put a rope.
Well, again, an unlocked gate would, you wouldn't be able to control people going out that
Right.
way or coming in that way.
Right.
They can just do what Dickinson's does, just put a rope and send them live. No one's gonna drive through that.
Well, I guess I don't want to get into re-engineering this, even with the chief's comments.
Maybe in the future, have them consider a hard pack to address that. But as of right now, the site plan as it sits,
Yeah, I'm in favor of approving it as is.
Yeah.
Any of the conditions that I'd like to see put on it is to make sure that there's no vegetation, the comments from both DPW and the chief to make sure that this is, there's good, clear lines of sight as far as possible, no signage, no vegetation.
no banners, within 10 feet.
Was there a comment from the fire? I know you said you spoke with the fire chief, but was there any, there was no comment? Okay, so then he takes no issue with it. Typically, that's what, when we send letters out, if we don't get a response, then we take it as a no issue. Again, I think, if there's enough parking places there for the day-to-day operation, I'm in favor of approving it as presented, including the signage.
Yeah.
As presented. That's my take on it. I don't know if anybody else has any other opinions or wants any other input on it, or conditions placed.
I think that's fair. Like, sign, they're gonna put on the residential side, taking it off the building.
Well, they obviously listened to us at the last meeting, so that was,
Right.
okay.
I'm going to recuse myself due to close proximity.
So noted.
Okay.
I will entertain a motion.
So I will make a motion to approve the site plan as presented. The only additions that I would like to add is no vegetation, no banners, along the Carver Street.
And I'll second that.
Any
You
further?
want to add something?
May I formally just create that condition? I think as the chair mentioned, with regards to the comments from the highway department, no roadside signs, temporary banners, or vegetation should be placed along the road in areas that adversely impact sight distances for vehicles entering and exiting the driveway.
Perfect. That's perfect. Okay.
Any further comment?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Site plan's approved. Good luck.
Good daughter.
Thank you.
Oh, you live down there? Where do you live?
20 Carpenter.
Oh.
Yeah, so where the picture was taken, looking at the.
First Monday.
So this is not, so we don't close the meeting for public, we leave the public hearing, we don't do this properly. Okay. I'm trying to. What is it? It's unequal, or do you?
Yeah, it was when I pulled in to see the small people here. We're still doing business. Right.
Sarah said that, like, our town's run on, like, really hard work from a lot of people, so I'm grateful.
Thank you. Hey, folks, we're still conducting business here, so
Sorry.
if you don't mind. Thank you.
Appreciate the volunteer efforts.
What have you got for us, Ken?
So, Mr. Chairman, the item that I have, the board received at the last meeting, I don't think, I sent at least electronic to the secretary, we can have a further conversation about the totality of the rules and regulations as the board has been looking at it, for a future date. In addition to that, the item regarding Munson Estates definitive subdivision plan. I was talking to the chair this evening, and I was wondering if the board would be able to meet January 5th, and we can create the agenda item for that. And it's the first Monday of the month. And
So that'd be our next meeting?
we're trying, I mean, if that's,
It's better than coming in December. Okay, sure.
yeah, there's no meetings in December, but we have to legally advertise this, because this is this special, or it's a public hearing.
So I was called today by the applicant, and they're trying to get it done before the 5th because all their engineers, everybody's gone.
I see, yeah.
For the month.
Right.
So it probably should have, I don't know if it was them that delayed it or it was us.
So we still wouldn't be able to, based on, it would be the 22nd, but at the last meeting, we decided against the 22nd. And I don't know who would have been available for that Monday of Christmas week, because that would be in your typical meeting.
So let's, if we're good on the 5th,
Yeah.
we're gonna need it's gonna take 4 for a quorum.
Correct. So that's gonna require a near full board. So we'll set that meeting we'll work on the public hearing, notice for that. The last item is the zoning bylaw update project. So obviously the board knows that's happening right now. Because of all of the transitions within my department, PVPC, I have not yet finished what I wanted to do with regards to your zoning diagnostic. It's complete, but I wanted to add the appendices to the back. That's the only last stuff that I have. I will definitely turn that around by the end of the week. But the bulk of the report is there. It's going to be what is the baseline for the work for the zoning project. There is a kickoff meeting that has been scheduled for next Wednesday, December 17th, here from 10 to 11:30, 10 in the morning to 11:30. It's a kickoff, just describing the project and the process. And obviously, we'll keep you apprised of what happens during that meeting. If the chair, also attends that, that's up to him. But we'll definitely keep you apprised of what that process is. And that will include all of the members of that committee, in addition to having a meeting separately, one-on-one with the building inspector, zoning enforcement officer, as I typically do during these processes, because they see the zoning every day. So I usually work with the committee or the planning board, depending on the town, in addition to the building department, because they likely have a version of the zoning bylaw that has lots of circles and red marks, just like you might, that I definitely do, would know. So the next, the board will receive the actual report, but we can put that on the agenda for the first meeting in January, after your public hearing to just describe that, talk about it. And hopefully, you might come with comments to that meeting on the 5th. But look forward to talking to the board regarding that. That's all I have with
Okay.
regards to.
Okay, so that'll be important that we get a full board for that hearing. So if
Yes.
somebody can't make it, please.
Yeah.
I'll work with Kathy Leonard tomorrow to post that and then share that with the board, so the board has, the 3
Yes, it's got to go out to the abutters. too.
So it needs to go to do all of that, but really it was making sure that the newspaper timeline was appropriate.
All right. Anybody else have anything? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.